Welcome back. We have a special guest with us today.
Video number two.
Video number two from
part two.
last week.
Yeah.
This is my daughter, Maimani. She will be joining us today.
For those of you guys who are worried, my parents did not decide to adopt another.
She's my daughter.
All right. Well, welcome back, Mom and Dad.
Thank you. Great to be with you.
Yeah. We got a couple more questions for you guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to ask them?
Sure. Okay. How did you guys end up adopting 4 children instead of 1?
Kind of grew.
Well, it must have been the plan of the Lord because we had 3 that were assigned to us, and so for several months that was the plan. We were in the process of adopting 3, and then some friends of ours who were also adopting got a child assigned to them whose last name was the same last name as yours, Matu, Coleman. And they told us about her, and from the very beginning, we never wanted to split siblings up. So we inquired with the orphanage to find out if Mema was your sister. And they told us that she was. And so Mom and I thought, we can't split them up. And so we decided to go ahead and take Mema too. And that's how we ended up with 4.
Except we had to ask our social worker who came in and interviewed us and looked at the home and everything. And she said, you can't do that. You don't have enough income. But I'll send it through INS, and if they okay you, then I'll okay you. So she did, and they okayed us. And that's how we ended up with Mema.
But you guys later found out, obviously, that Mema and Matu aren't sisters.
Right. Yeah, we didn't find that out.
There's aunt and niece.
Yeah, we didn't know that. I
So
don't think until they came.
So we only wanted 3 or maybe 4 if they were sisters or brothers. Turned out none of you were sisters or brothers.
You still got 4.
Anyway.
You are now.
Yes.
Okay, next question. Where did you get the finance to do all this? Because I know that it was a lot of money to adopt 4 children. So where did everything come from?
We call it a miracle.
Yeah, it was.
It was a miracle.
And
So, well, we sold a piece of property that we had that we were going to save and use for college tuition for our older children. But we just felt like, okay, maybe we should try selling that. So it sold in less than an hour's time after we put it on the market, and the realtor told us that it wouldn't sell for over a year.
Mm-hmm.
So we were pretty excited when he called and said we already had a buyer, and she offered full price and would cash us out in less than a week. And so it all came together.
That was the first indication that God was going to provide, because we had no money to do this.
Yeah.
And so He provided that. But the interesting thing is, the remarkable thing is, on the very day that I signed the realtor's contract selling that piece of property, on my way home, I stopped at our mailbox, which was just up the street, and opened the mailbox, and there was a letter from a company that many years earlier, probably about 11 or 12 years earlier, we had invested some money with, and it went bankrupt. And that money was secured with a piece of property, but they told us that until that property sold, we would never recover our money. And so this was 11 or 12 years later, and we'd kind of forgotten about it because, we thought we'd never get anything back. But on that very day I signed the real estate contract and opened the mailbox, here's this letter from this company. And I opened it up, and lo and behold, not only the money we invested was in there, but a check that included the interest for the last 12 years.
Oh my goodness.
And so that, combined with the money from selling the property, paid for the adoption. It was clearly a provision from God.
I think we had $100 left after all the airfares and paying the orphanage money and all the different institutions. But we left $100 with one of your relatives.
Oh.
I think with Mima's auntie, your auntie.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's incredible. What was it like going from 4 kids of your own to doubling that and getting like bam, you had 8 all of a sudden?
Does the word chaos mean anything?
I see that.
It was,
Chaotic.
it was
It was
chaotic.
a busy household.
Busy. And, there were a lot of fun times and funny things that happened trying to blend the two cultures, but there was also, some difficulty
Challenges.
for you guys adjusting to a new culture.
A lot of cultural collisions.
Not a
Cultural
collision.
collision.
Well named.
And for us also, it was both, but we got through it. The first 3 years were the most difficult.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Final question. Obviously, we were behind in our schooling. We barely knew how to speak English properly. And Mom, you homeschooled us.
Yeah.
What was that like? Obviously, very challenging, but just kind of give us some of the resources that you had.
Well, there again, God provided. Because I quickly learned that you guys didn't have the eye-hand coordination, so you couldn't draw a line on a piece of paper. You couldn't make your hand do that, even though you knew what you're supposed to do, but you just didn't have that communication between your brain and your hand. So I think part of it was malnutrition, war trauma. There was a lot of things involved. So anyhow, thankfully, we had a lady at our church that worked with special needs kids, and she had all the resources. And so she said, I will get some of those resources with you. You need to start them at the very, very beginning and help them with all the little skills that you would assume a child of this age has. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I did. I started you really like a 2 or 3 year old. I didn't say that, but that's what I started. And then I also, I don't know if you remember this, but I also started putting some things to music.
Yeah.
And I just made the songs up on the spot, and would sing something like that. Not the alphabet song, but other things, so that you guys like that because you're used to so much music. Mm-hmm. And if we clap after we, say a little phrase, then you started getting it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Dad, I remember you did a little bit with us to give Mom a break because we probably drove her nuts.
Mom was a stay-at-home mom. She was a teacher. She was a cook.
Our nurse.
Every once in a while, Dad
Chauffeur.
jumped in to give her a break.
Yeah.
I tried geography with you.
How did that go?
Yeah, it was a little rough. Trying to explain what the city we lived in, and the county we lived in, and the state we lived in, and the country we lived in, and the continent we lived in, and somehow that just didn't make sense to you. So I don't think I was that effective of a teacher, but we had fun anyway.
Yeah.
I remember Joseph giving you guys a bad time because I'd coach you, like we live in, and I'd say the name, and it started with an S, but you couldn't quite remember it. So then Joseph would be on the sideline going, Seattle, and saying the wrong name. And so you'd think he knew the answer because he was the older brother. And
well,
so
he was supposed to know the answer.
I know. He was telling you the wrong answer. and so then
we
you'd
would
all
yell,
say, Seattle!
Yes. So recovering from that. Thanks, Jill.
Thank you.
Well, that is all the questions we have for you guys today. Thank you for
again.
getting on the video with us.
Fun to be with you.
We may have you guys come back for more follow up.
Mm-hmm.
But
Are you going to have one where we can tell the secrets of our?
No secrets.
We told you what we want them to know.
Okay, only the good stuff.
Thank you for joining us today.
This is our crazy family, or half of us anyway.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you have any questions, go ahead and put it in the comments. And if you have questions for my parents, put their names and ask them the questions.
See you guys next week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.